So 2025 is the 20th anniversary of Power Rangers SPD, and if you're brand new to the channel or you're just passing by or you magically found this video in the algorithm, what this video is kind of like a retrospective / rambling video where I talk about certain seasons when they reach a certain milestone in their anniversary, and I just talk about them. And seeing how 2025 is the 20th anniversary of SPD, not only that the year that the season takes place in, I thought I'd make a video talking about it. So this season, I don't really have a lot of nostalgic attachment to it. I didn't grow up watching it. It wasn't my first season I ever saw as a kid. I stumbled across this season as a total accident many years ago, 20 years ago at this point, when I was just in my teens. So I don't know if you've heard me tell this story hundreds of times on the channel, but Australia growing up only had like 3 to 4 channels back in the day before digital TV and streaming services came along. And not a lot of those channels had a lot of children entertainment, especially during the weekends where it would just be either horse racing or just random shows playing. But one of the things they played back in the day was on Channel 7, I believe. It was this 2-hour, 3-hour time slot that they called Jetix. If you know what Jetix is, you know what Jetix is. But what it was basically random programming where I think it was like Sonic X, Witch, Super Monkey Hyperforce Robo, and Power Rangers was one of them. And I remember after watching a couple of shows that they had on there, I think after Super Monkey Hyperforce Robo or Sonic X or something like that, they aired Power Rangers SPD, and I believe I remember checking out the first couple of episodes when they were airing week to week. And although I was over 15, 16, so I was well over the Power Rangers stage at this point. But what I saw with this season, I did like, but because it aired on a weekend, and not all the time on a weekend, sometimes they wouldn't even air the Jetix time block at all, or not even advertise it in the TV guide, I didn't see the entire season at all. So I watched Power Rangers SPD. I remember they aired a couple of episodes here and there, and then after a while the Jetix time slot went away, and then I think when they brought it back like either later that year or a year later, it was Mystic Force. So I was like, okay, so this is the brand new season that they're airing of Power Rangers. So Power Rangers SPD, I never, like I said, I don't have a lot of nostalgic attachment to it. The first time I actually got to watch the series back to back from start to finish was when Australia got Netflix in 2014, back in the day. So that's when I actually got to witness the series from start to finish. And I have gone back and I have revisited Power Rangers SPD because if you don't know, they have all the seasons, well, almost all the seasons up on their YouTube channel for free that you can watch. Not only that, on Tubi and Roku and stuff like that. So you can watch these seasons for free if you want to check them out yourself. But Power Rangers SPD, it's one of those fan favorite seasons that a lot of people love, and I can understand where the love comes from with this season. It adapts a really good season of Super Sentai that is beloved, that is Deca Ranger, and although it plays things very differently compared to Deca Ranger with how the story is told and it's not a straight adaptation, what they did with the source material, because I believe they weren't getting all the tapes at the time and they didn't have an understanding of what the season, where the season was going to go, what the season was going to be about, how they adapted it was really interesting with what they did with it. And Power Rangers SPD, I feel like it has some of the most compelling and strongest characters within the show that have their story arcs. Characters like Jack, Bridge, Sky, those characters people talk about to this very day with their character story arcs, like Jack being one of them, Sky being one of them, where they have those character arcs that they go through the entire season. Not only that, you've got Doggy Kruger, who has one of the coolest suits within the series itself, or within the season itself, with the Shadow Ranger, and Kruger, with how different it is compared to the Super Sentai with that weird animatronic head. It looks really freaking amazing, but Kruger's story is quite the interesting one as well, because although it seems like he's going to go on this path of revenge, he's going to go on this revenge story, it's more of him finding justice and bringing Grum to justice his own way, because you have that scene where Grum is just screaming at Kruger for him to finish him off and put him down, and it almost seems like that Kruger does ice him off, but that's not the case, where Kruger just ends up trapping Grum within the card. So Kruger was able to find justice his own way without going down that path of revenge and having to kill Grum. Now, Grum is a really cool original villain suit design, and I believe in an interview the whole reason why they created an original villain is because when they were getting the tapes of Deca Ranger, they didn't really know where the show was going. They didn't really know who the big bad was going to be, or the final big bad was going to be. So in case something happened to that big bad within stock footage, and they didn't want to put all their eggs in one basket with that one character, they thought we'll create an original villain, so that way if something happens to the main villain of the Sentai that we don't know where they're going at this point, they don't get iced off within like 13 episodes or 15 episodes or something like that. So they played it safe that way in the end. But Power Rangers SPD, like I said, is one of those seasons that a lot of people have a lot of memories with, like whether it's the Buttery moment or even the Omega Ranger, and then you have moments, like I said, like Kruger taking down 100 men, you have that timer ticking up, that's a really badass moment. You've got the A Squad, which the A Squad are kind of memorable. I mean, I forget about them half the time, and the A Squad are like, they're recycled suits from like Power Rangers in Space with motocross gear on them, and they have like interesting civilian outfits. And the Red Ranger's a female Red Ranger, but kind of minorly brushed off because she doesn't do a lot in the end. And a lot of people give her credit as being a female Red Ranger, but she's not like a main core leader of the pack Red Ranger, team leader that gets the forefront center. I mean, she gets like less than a minute of screen time, but in the end she is still a female Red Ranger, but not one that a lot of people bring up in conversation. So it kind of sucks that character was undermined, but hey, maybe there'll be a spin-off in the comics or something like that where she'll get more of some time to shine. Who knows? But the A Squad, they're cool. I kind of wish they did more in the end, because they had that fake out where they fake their death the whole times, but is what it is. But Power Rangers SPD. What I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over to my community tab, and I'm going to read a bunch of comments from you guys with your thoughts on Power Rangers SPD, because that's going to be something I wanted to do with this video, because like I said, I don't have a lot of memories with Power Rangers SPD. I think it's a fantastic season, I think it's a really great season, but I don't have a lot of nostalgic memories about the season to gush over like other seasons that I've seen before. So what I decided to do was I put out a community post, what's your favourite moments of Power Rangers SPD, what did you love about the series, stuff like that, and I got you guys to leave comments, and I feel like I got a fair few responses, and I'm going to jump over to those comments now. So quick little smash cut to me reading these comments out. Alright, let's read some comments about Power Rangers SPD and your thoughts on the season when I put out the community post. Okay, so starting from bottom to top. So, Endon's Curse 4699 says, the Morphs, the showcase of the Shadow Ranger, SPD Elite Rangers versus our Rangers, Piggy, I forgot his name, Piggy was his name, the Jack storyline and the crossovers were good. No, all these points are great, like I forgot to mention that when I was rambling earlier. The crossover between Dino Thunder and Power Rangers SPD, where we got two of them, is really fantastic. I mean, nothing gets inside this circle, that's a fantastic moment, and even though they couldn't get JDF back for the special, like the SPD and the Dino Thunder crossover is like really good. Jack's storyline is great, I will say that. Piggy, kind of forgettable character, but he has his moments, I guess. A Squad versus B Squad they're talking about, again, that's a really great moment. The showcase of the Shadow Ranger, again, another fantastic moment. And the Morph, yeah, the Morph for Power Rangers SPD is great. I will say that. Olivia McNeil, 3101 says, in retrospect, whenever Bridge was being, well, Bridge. Yeah, Bridge is a fan favorite character as well. Like I enjoy seeing Bridge when I rewatch the season. Kind of like me in a way, very sassy. Carmen Ranger Zio 8251 says, police themed Power Rangers with cool weapons and even the Morpher sequence looked really impressive. I'd say it's a win for Space Patrol Delta. Yeah, I will say that as well. Iron America says, to summarize this season in one word, buttery. We'll probably be seeing a lot of that as well. Kiba Gran Buku says, one of the greatest characters in Power Rangers SPD in my mind is Sky. From being a skeptical Blue Ranger to a compassionate Red Ranger will always be a great character arc for me. That's true. Sky starts out as this huge jerk at the start of the season. I mean, there's this one scene that I remember when Kruger says, how would you feel about like someone like Z or what's the other? Like one of the female rangers are leading the team, and Sky's response is pretty much how the fandom would respond these days by saying, no, a woman can't lead the Power Rangers. No thank you. So that's crazy in retrospective. Sky was ahead of his time. He had the same mindset of the Facebook fandom and some of the Twitter fandom here and there. Then Scotty Z70 says, the moment I found out who the Omega Ranger was, tears. Yeah. And then there are responses in the comments, but Disney played the Omega Ranger very cheap. And in a way they kind of did. I mean, I think in the Sentai, like it's an actual full-blown character, but with Power Rangers SPD, they like gave them an identity within like the last few seconds of that season. Okay. Carmen Rider 64 says, oh dude, I have so many great memories with this season. It was one of the most unique seasons at the time. Aside from Lost Galaxy, when the Disney era was really hitting its peak, in midway through was truly an awesome season. I didn't grow up with the Disney season, that's the thing. Like I said, I was kind of off Power Rangers back then. Like that was my 360 era with the Xbox, and I was in high school, so I wasn't really following Power Rangers that much back then. But where was I? Hitting its peak, especially midway through it was an awesome season, memorable characters, and even though it did copy a couple of elements from Deca Ranger, it was still original and something similar to what Time Force did, was one of the reasons 2005 was a fun year indeed. 2005 was a fun year. Levi Iwa says, can you make next year a video 20 years on Misty Fork? I think what they're asking is, can you make a video next year on 20 years of Mystic Force? Maybe. Probably not. Mystic Force is one of those seasons that I have a lot of nostalgic attachment to. I've never gone back and I've watched it. I've never revisited it. There's some things I want to go back and revisit the season for research purposes, but the only thing I always go back for when it comes to Mystic Force is Mystic Mother in the end, and the Dark Master, because I feel like they're kind of important Power Ranger lore parts that need to be studied, in my opinion, especially Dark Master. Cool Chris 7078 says, this was my Power Rangers season growing up. NYW Man 2972, I do apologize if I butchered your name. 92, sorry. 2992, I do apologize if I butchered your name. Buttery Toast. Okay. Bateman Film Z Joe, I think that's meant to be said. I remember Bridge throwing a whole SUV at a woman. I remember that as well. Jaden Johnson 4221 says, I haven't watched this season in years. I loved it on Jetix as a kid. Well, like I said, Jaden Johnson, in my rambling part of the video, you can watch Power Rangers SPD on its official YouTube channel or on Tubi. Western Pickering 3591 says, swap mode debuts and Sky being the Red Ranger. Okay, yeah. My favorite moment was the Kruger's backstory with Ifa. Yeah, that was a really great moment as well. Let's see. Trey McDonald Animator says, a unique season of Power Rangers from the suits to the story. I would have loved to see the anniversary special for the specific season, considering it's the year of this timeline, but regardless, SPD is a good one, top 10. Yeah, like, I feel like not a lot of people talk about the S.P.D. suits or the Deca Ranger suits. I love them. I love the number on each one of the suits. I love the color scheme for them. Some of the helmets I'm not a fan of. I think Sky and Bridges helmets I'm not the biggest fan of, depending what angle you see the suit on. But I like the suits for S.P.D and the morphing sequence. Necrom002 says, the debut of the Shadow Ranger was peak. I love Jack passing the torch to the sky when he wanted to be the Red Ranger. Again, another iconic moment. Dwayne Sight 1 says, love this season. And then Animane 6833 says, one of the best seasons of Power Rangers, truly why Disney era of Power Rangers are peak. That's very true. Like, Disney era of Power Rangers had some really great writers. A lot of people say Disney made the season great. I always argue that counterpoint. I always argue that with a counterpoint by saying Disney didn't really make that season great. It's whoever was writing and directing those seasons made them great, because that's what made them stand out. And then Brian O'Leary, I'm going to ignore this comment because they misunderstood, but they thought I was talking about a new special. I guess they didn't understand what I was talking about with it. So there's that. But I did correct them. So Jake Tylenol says, if they rebooted Power Rangers live action, SPD would be what we would start with, in my opinion, aside from it literally being in the year the story takes place. By the time it releases, it will be 2027 if we get this reboot out and running. But S.P.D. captured the spirit of Mighty Morphin in its own unique way. I don't think any other series does that while they're actively trying. It's still silly like MMPR, but it's got some good overarching plots. The Rangers are tropes, but they all grow and develop. That is true. I don't know how to describe it. It just feels like a modernized version of Power Rangers for its time. That is true yet. The theme song was dope as hell. Finally, someone brought up the theme song. I'm like, the Ron Wasserman coming back to do the theme song for Power Rangers SPD will always be great. But no, we'll probably get a reboot of Mighty Morphin series. Most kids don't even know that all either. Tommy worship again or whatever. Yeah. Like, I feel like people who worship Mighty Morphin and they say Mighty Morphin or nothing, they really have to give these other seasons a chance that came after Mighty Morphin, whether it's In Space, Lost Galaxy, Lightspeed Rescue, Wild Force, like Dino Thunder, SPD. Like, the thing is, like, even though, like, a lot of people started with Mighty Morphin, every season's going to be someone else's first favorite season. Like, when you watch a bunch of different TokuTubers and they talk about their first season of Power Rangers, like, a lot of them are younger than me, because I'm the old man. So a lot of, like most of them started with the Disney era, or they started with reruns of Mighty Morphin, or videotapes from Mighty Morphin because they had older siblings. But it's crazy that, like, we're going to have in, like, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, if YouTubing and Power Ranger tubing is still a thing, that there'll be, like, that one YouTuber that says, my first season was, like, Power Rangers Megaforce, or my first season was Dino Charge, or Ninja Steel. That's going to be crazy in retrospective in a couple of years' time. Because, like I said, and a lot of people say this, like, every season is someone else's first. Okay, so let's see. They said, I remember this is the first season I saw on ABC. It's exactly what I was saying earlier. This season was probably someone's first exposure to the Power Rangers, whatever year, like, they grew up in. CNN Funny John says, funny how Disney aimed so low, 2040. Yeah, we're in 2025 and things are kind of the same. H4 Fees HM Ford N says Sky's tragic backstory. And then this username is just saying a bunch of facts about the show, which is not really memories, but hey, it's stuff that you could probably find out about on the wiki. So there's that. But yeah, that's all your guys' thoughts on Power Rangers SPD. What are your thoughts on this season? Give me your thoughts on Power Rangers SPD in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. With that said, I think I'm going to bring this video to a close. Next up will probably be 10 years of Dino Charge, not featuring Brendan Mahir. I didn't reach out to him to do with that collab. But hey, maybe next time. Maybe for the 15th anniversary. Who knows? But anyway, guys, I'll see you guys later. Peace out, take care, and bye.